Alright, so we'll look at the scientific methods, and inside we'll look at what are these scientific methods and what is found there, such as the hypothesis, the theory, and also a law. Those are the important terms to know under this. But let us break down now each and we see how important they are. So one thing that we need to understand is that as scientists, remember we talked about matter, stuff like that. He demonstrated what is matter, types of matter, where we talked about the properties, intensive, extensive property. We looked at those examples, we gave examples, and also we described the homogeneous, the heterogeneous mixture. But now, like, we are scientists and we'll be there to solve different problems. So now how do we achieve, like, how do we, because we can't just start something without having procedures, meaning that we'll be biased, we'll be one-sided in what we do. So someone will ask you, what are scientific methods? All right. So these methods, you see, like you'll be there, let's say you want to conduct a problem, why people they take time, or why diesels, why cars delays, okay? You want to study as a scientist, so you need to like follow what we call scientific methods. You don't just start like you wake up and start studying something. You have actually guidelines that will enable you, that will make you not be biased in your results. So at least you need to be somehow close to the already performed result. That's why it's called the research. You always research on something when you are discovering something. You don't just discover and wake up. You research on a problem. Okay? So, so what are these now scientific methods? When you say scientific method, a scientific method is just a systematic, okay, process. It's a system process by which as scientists used to investigate problems or answer questions. Like let's say you want to study why the network is tripping in your area. As an IT student, you need to look at also some like what type of connection am I having? Is it LAN or WAN? Okay, what is the bandwidth? You look at those. What is the frequency of this? How can I improve? Should I add the amplifier in order to improve the frequency you get? So those are what you call, now you are trying to investigate on a problem. So scientific methods, these are just systematic process. These are systematic process, so I can say systematic process. All right.
I'm writing, so you should do. You should be writing.
Or process. So in which, so this is just a systematic or a method or a process in which are used by us scientists. Okay, so be there to investigate problems or answer questions. And you'll be there also to discover a new problem, like new knowledge. Is that okay? So be there to discover new knowledge, because we have done a system way of actually approaching that problem, and from that problem we have discovered, we'll be able to to come up with some logic. All right. So what I'm trying to say is, It's a logical way of just finding the truth using evidence. The evidence that you use are those now the systems that you are using. Let's say the procedure, the guidelines which are already there are what we call the logic now. The logic way of finding the truth using those evidence we have, like as they already performed the results. They are evidence. Is that clear?
Yes.
Sure, that is it. So now these scientific methods, they are actually, we have steps in what we call scientific methods. Like upon us discovering a new thing, we have what we call steps. All right. So the first step that we have is you observe something. All right. So observation. You observe the problem. Let's say, why do people like experience bad network? You are experiencing, like, you observe that problem. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
I won't write anything. Let me talk about under observation. So here, this is where everything begins. Okay, you observe a problem, or in short, a phenomenon. A phenomenon is just a concerned like problem. Let's say, why does the leaves like have green or yellow flowers? You say, okay, that's your problem. You have observed the problem. Okay, so you observe something happening in the environment. So you discover this in your within your environment, not where you are not. You do this where you are seated, you stay, you get, so within your environment. So you observe. So the first step is observation. In short, this is where everything begins. You observe the problem. Okay. For example, you say, okay, plants in one area grow faster than others. Why? That's the problem. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So from there, then what you do is, I've talked about what happens under observation. That is it. You break like the problem. What is the problem? Then number two, what you need to do is you question yourself. Okay, is that okay?
Yes.
You ask, like, based on your observation, like, what is this? Like, why they say, why do some plant grow faster than you ask yourself, is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
So here I can put, yes, I can put question, but what I want to do is, let me just say, upon you asking yourself to say, okay, what could be this? Why do some plants grow faster than others? That's your question that comes in the mind after seeing that other plants like grow faster in one area than in other, I mean in different places. So that's your observation. Now you ask yourself, why is it like that? Okay? Then upon you asking yourself, you say, okay, I think this is possible. Um, I think because of, let's say, let me use the aspect of photosynthesis. That's where now you develop what we call a hypothesis. Is that okay? So under the, you know the problem, you discover the problem, you start the program. Then you ask yourself, you ask questions, why is it like this? Then upon you asking yourself, what you just suggest in your mind is what you call a hypothesis. This is just a possible explanation you can test, like the explanation that you are saying, okay, I'll use photosynthesis. That's what we call a hypothesis, or in short, a hypothesis is a testable and educated guess. Like the guess that you make based on that problem is what we call hypothesis. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
So let me just define this. Let's say testable, like something that you are going to test, a testable and educated guess. It must be educated, the guess that you are making. So educated guess about what you think will happen. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that is it. Just the testable and educated guess that you make after observation is what we call a hypothesis. So be ready to define such word. Is that okay?
Yes.
So from there you have done now the guessing. You have say, okay, my guessing can be tested. Okay, I'll now proceed. So under this, it usually written as if then. What are we going to happen? Okay, in short, what I'm trying to say is, if now, let's say, if plants receive more sunlight, then they will grow faster. You get, you bring in those testable guess that you can test, the guess that you'll be making after observing, after asking yourself to say, why is it like this? Then that's what we call a hypothesis. Hope that is clear. Since now we have made a testable and the educated guess, now we'll do what we call an experiment. Experiment, okay? So now you test your hypothesis. That educated guess you have made, you now test it, okay? Let's say you start now connected with the software if you are an ICT, or you are adding the iodine solution if you are testing plants, you get. So now that's the experiment. So from that experiment, you are going to design a controlled experiment, like everything in good procedure. Then you'll be trying to adjust something in order to see the change, the variables. Like let's say you change the temperature, you get, and you see what is coming out. Okay. So under experiment data, you collect data. Collect data there. So you collect data carefully. Alright. So from there, after collecting data carefully, then you measure those results. In fact, under experiment, then measure the result. Okay. Alright. So under this experiment, that's where you collect your data. Is that okay? Yes, after doing that, then you conclude. So by this now, after this, after experimenting, like you have experimented, alright? This is where now you talk about now, if those experiments, like the result that have come, like they are agreeing to one another, they keep on agreeing, then you can confirm that the hypothesis that I made is much stronger, and hence it will be what we call a theory now. That's why I've been hearing, like a Big Bang theory, smoke theory, or let's say random motion theory. Those theories, right? It was just tested by one person, and when it is now law, I mean, when it, like a lot of people have tested it to be a law. So in short, after experimenting, if those the hypothesis was very strong, the guess was very strong, then after experiment you do what we call a theory. Okay. So the theory sometimes is called a model. Let's say Charles model, like atomic model. All right. So a theory is just a well tested and widely accepted explanation based on the large amount of evidence. Like based, like let's say me, I've tested the same thing, and also USA in UK you have tested the same thing, and the result they keep on agreeing, then that was we call a theory. It will be now a theory because the results are now like obeying each other. So that's what we call a theory. So this is a well tested and accepted explanation based on large evidence, like the evidence from different researchers. Okay. Yes, so once like our results, your results, they keep on agreeing, then we'll formulate what we call a theory. That's why I've been hearing there's this theory. So formulate, like you tell people, let's say from South Africa, can you test this about the plant? Like, do they give the same procedure? Yes, they give the same procedure. Okay, that is it. Again, we try, let's say from America. Okay, this is now agreeing to one another. So this is what we call a theory. It's a well tested and accepted explanation based on the evidence from different perspective, different environments. So the keyword under theory, please, I want you to master it. Under theory, we do what we call, like we test it many times, okay? And it need to be supported by the experiment that has been tested many times, okay? Let's say at the
Okay.
theory of ovulation, like ovulation, like there are different theories, you know them, huh? Aye.
The different theories like how?
Like I mean, you have been hearing theory, let's say Big Bang theory, like atomic theory. Those theories, they were discovered by one person, like. So now if those theories now, a lot of theories now have been conducted and they will now form a law, okay?
Mm.
They will now form, what are you doing there? Like there's sound I'm getting.
Mm.
So after testing these theory, a lot of theories have been conducted. I mean, a lot of theory, again, the same theory, let's say the theory which was like developed, now it has been again tested many times, the same theory. Then we'll form what we call a law. So form what we call a law.
After they've been tested, they've
Yes,
been approved, they
yes,
become a law.
yes. After main theories, they make a law. Okay. Main hypothesis, they make a theory. Main hypothesis, they make a theory. Main theory, they make what you call a law. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes. So that is it. So we can say a law is just a statement, and under law, it will come as a result of a formula. Let's say y is equals to mx plus c. So this is a law equation of a straight line. Like it will be formulated under, like equation will be formulated to look at the, I mean, to show the relationship of variables or those things we are discovering. Okay,
Mm.
sure, that is it. So a law will always now be constant and a law doesn't change, so it will always describe what always happen. Okay, that's why I've been hearing that there's a law of what, law of gravitation. So those laws, they will be there and they can't be changed. It can't be changed. That's why you've been hearing that there is always a law that states that the body, whenever the body moves up, they will always come back. That's a law and it can't be changed. Gravitational law. So when you say a law is just a tested and um like it will be expressed always in the form of a formula at the end. So it will be just a statement in this formula. Let's say this one. So we say a law is just a statement that describes the consistent of natural phenomenon, like a natural problem in short, or natural occurrence of something. It will be always
The
expressed in a
statement that
mathematical
does
form.
what? The statement that does what?
I said is a statement like the way it is like this. This expression is a statement that
Mm.
describe the consistent of natural phenomenon, like of a natural, that thing we have discovered is what we call a natural phenomenon. It's natural, it's within the environment. So I can say is a statement, the statement
Mm.
that describe,
Then,
that describe a consistent of,
mm.
Describe a consistent natural, something that has to be natural, okay? Natural phenomenon, like phenomenon, that problem we are discovering. Phenomenon. And it is expressed in mathematical form. And mathematically expressed. So that is it. That is it, like about discovering problems. This is all what is involved. So what we need to know that a theory, I mean a hypothesis, is a testable guess, the guess that you make. Then we come to now the theory. A theory is well supported explanation from the well supported explanation from different evidence, okay? Then a law, it would just describe always what happens. So a law will always describe what happens. It will be now constant, okay? So a hypothesis is always tested. Then a theory is proven by many times, like a theory will prove by many times, okay? Then a law describe a natural law, like it will give a formula. So describe a natural law, okay? Is that okay?
Yes.
Is there any question?
No, so what again?
There's no question?
Hmm.